everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Catherine Howard. I go by Kate. Hello. There's me with money. I really want to thank the people who nominated me for this position. Sayeda really has become my home here at Penn State, not just because it's the only thing I do. I really do love everyone in this room and everyone in the organization, and I am so honored and humbled to have been nominated. So a little bit about me, in case you don't know me or know anything that I talk about ever. My majors are international politics with a national security focus and security and risk analysis with intended minors in Chinese and French language. My phone and email are also up there, but you could also just DM me and group me or anything if you have questions or concerns with anything. In terms of my experience, I have been very involved in Sayeda throughout my freshman year. At Funk 6, I was co-chair for Germany in the TCC War to End All Wars run by Will Juppinlatz. And for Funk 7, I am the Chargé d'Affaires, and I am also the Crisis Director for Never Ending War. In Funk 12, I was the chair for Fair Verona, Tales of Romeo and Juliet. I was a NYU Monk 10 and AN 17 delegate, and outside of Sayeda, in high school, I was a drum major for my marching band, and I was the co-founder and vice president of the Water Club, which raised $10,000 to build a well in a third world country without access to clean drinking water. So how do I envision this position? So basically, a summary of my ideas can go through efficiency being maximized by prioritizing UPAC funding through a method determined by the current Vice President for Finances, Trevor Perkvist, and I. And then I want to increase the accountability of schools attending Funk and Punk to increase retention of funds, because it's much easier to reimburse people than it is to wait for them to pay. I also want to increase the accountability of the VP Finance position by being very transparent about financial transactions throughout the club. And I want to better categorize and organize the ASA account summaries so they're more accessible to the general public and for just general purposes. So let's get specific. For efficiency, I feel like there are 3 parts of it that are important, which is time management, patience, and persistence. For time management, my dad raised me on the idea of chip away, chip away, chip away, done. And I've really used that throughout my time here thus far. So I believe that time management is a skill that I very much have. For those of you who know anything that I've done for Chargé d'Affaires, you know that I spent January through March compiling a master list of every high school in Pennsylvania and which ones have a Model United Nations organization. And that was a labor of love that took me a lot of time and effort and really honed my time management skills. For patience and persistence, the master list can also be applied to that, but with specifically patience with being chargé, with communicating with advisors, and persistence in terms of making sure that schools are registering and everything with that is happening. I would also like to talk about accountability. So accountability of those who provide the club with funds. I'd like to encourage schools that register for Funk and Punk to pay as soon as possible. We've already sent out invoices to all the schools who've registered for Funk so far, and I hope to do the same for Punk to encourage schools to pay as soon as possible. And then for the Vice President for Finances, as I previously mentioned, I want to increase transparency so everyone's aware of club finances and what's happening from a transaction standpoint. So lastly, organization. By that picture, it does not look like I'm good at it, but I'm actually pretty good at it. I live off my planner, and I want to transfer that over to this position. So I want to maintain consistent formatting across all spreadsheets, forms, budgets, everything, as I've done for my documents and things for Funk. I also want to have separate master budget spreadsheets for each major financial event for the clubs, and then having these multiple spreadsheets will allow me to ensure accuracy of information because I will be double checking and triple checking my work. So lastly, why me? So primarily, I feel like my experience at Chargé d'Affaires has prepared me for this position. I have had patience with advisors and persistence with seeking registrations. I've encountered multiple instances of professionalism from interacting with advisors and this skill is something that I can transfer to my interactions with UPAC and ASA. And being Chargé has allowed me to see the role of finance on secretariats and its duties and how to fulfill them. I also was a co-chair at Funk, as I previously mentioned, and a chair at Punk, and I've seen these conferences for the wonderful events they are, and I plan to use this prior experience to suggest ideas and maximize profit. I forgot that slide was a thing. So, lastly, I'm just out of time.
5 seconds.
Okay, so thank you again to whoever nominated me. I understand how integral this position is, and it's truly humbling to have been nominated. And regardless of the outcomes of the elections, I am so looking forward to the 2019-2020 year, and so thank you for your consideration. All right, 3 minutes. Starts soon. Megan.
Is there anything in the budget this year that I may have forgotten to mention that you would want to change around when you're budgeting for next year and using money in different ways?
I would actually like to look more into using, we have that $5,000 surplus as of this year, so I'd like to use some of that money to put it towards helping like lower income students for attending membership events, away conferences, other things. So I'd like to try to find more room in the budget to accommodate for that if someone really needs us to help fund them in their SIADA escapades, then I would really like to do that. Victoria.
How do you plan on juggling undergraduate research, your job, both majors and minors, and this responsibility?
I'm gonna do it. No, I, as I previously mentioned, I do have very good time management skills, and I'm very big on sectioning things off day by day and scheduling my time. So I do not have any doubt in my mind that I will be able to fulfill the extent that needs to be dedicated to this position, in addition to anything else that I have coming my way.
Okay, guys, 2:14 left.
Okay, Caleb.
Okay, so as the previous campus GA, I know how much money goes into it. How open are you to changing or adjusting the budget in any way that socials need?
I'm open to that. Like, we'll definitely figure it out, and like, I'll work with Mihir on
Surprise.
that. Yeah, I figured. yeah, I'll definitely work with Mihir on that, and we'll like figure something out to make sure that it's as good as possible for the delegates that are attending. Anna?
So kind of actually adding on to that, so we get most of our money through Pumpkin Funk, which comes from registration, but we also have a lot of money in sponsorships. And so if you are VP of Finances, that also would put you in the finance positions on the secretariats. So how do you intend to work with the director of sponsorships or marketing for various secretariats to ensure that we are getting the money from sponsorships?
I would definitely want to prioritize making the invoices and getting them to the people who need them. And I'd also want to keep a direct line of communication with anyone who needs these invoices, and like the Charsates for both, and of course the marketing and sponsorships. I think that it's really important to make sure that like everything's being done in a timely fashion, and then if necessary, I will break some kneecaps to get the funding. But yeah, that's like, I would definitely want to maintain communication with those positions and make sure that they're getting the stuff they need. Thank you, Nicole.
So how do you plan on maintaining our solid line of communication with ASA, with UPAC, with our sort of funding source organizations, and ensuring that there is the increased transparency of our financial activity and sort of how that relates to receiving funds from UPAC, from ASA for these various funds?
So something that I would really like to do is, regardless of whether or not the amendment that's on the table passes, I'd like to have like reports that are done either monthly or semester that like outline like what we've received and what we've gotten. And then with that, I think that that will increase transparency to general membership and especially the executive board. That answered your question, right? Okay, cool.
1:10 left. I mean, that's a lot of, yeah.
If you read me any part of the budget, part of
Oh.
the
I just wanted to ask that question.
Trevor, go ahead. Any part of the bicycle.
I like to think that I would be the chain on the bicycle because it's what. I didn't watch your speech, okay? Like this is my own answer.
Cool. That's exciting.
Okay. I'd like to be the chain on the bicycle because it keeps the whole machine moving, and that's what finance